and welcome to Notice Tonight, the show that decodes the region. I am Wasbir Hussain. The election verdict in Mizoram, the victory of the Mizo National Front, has gone to prove that regionalism is still very much relevant in the country. In the Northeast, we see that regional parties have helped the mainstream BJP to form governments in Assam, Manipur, Nagaland and Meghalaya. In Arunachal Pradesh, there is a BJP government, but one cannot lose sight of the fact that there had been a wholesale transformation of the Regional People's Party of Arunachal legislators into BJP, thus giving the party its government. Tripura has been an exception, where the BJP secured a decisive verdict. Now, all eyes are set on Sikkim, where too the fight seems to be largely between the ruling Sikkim Democratic Front and several new regional parties that have emerged on the scene. The question that arises now is not just the relevance of regionalism, but what role could these regional parties play during the Lok Sabha polls in 2019? Will regional parties hold the key in a majority of the 25 Lok Sabha seats in the Northeast? Can parties like the BJP afford to ignore the regional parties ahead of 2019? Is this the reason why the BJP is tolerating the AGP in Assam and bearing with the regional parties' opposition to one of its key plans to amend the Citizenship Act? In Mizoram, the MNF had bitterly opposed the BJP during the campaign, although immediately after the victory, the party said it would continue to back the NDA and remain a part of the Northeast Democratic Alliance. But the MNF made it a point to talk about its distinct regional identity and stuck to its stand against any alliance with the BJP despite being a part of the NDA. To discuss the possibilities in the light of the Lok Sabha polls in 2019, I am joined from Aizawl by Adam Saprinsanga, a well-known political analyst. From Imphal, I am joined by Nisikant Sapam, managing editor of Sangha Express, a frontline English daily. Also in Imphal, I have Johnson Elangbam, a prominent social activist. In Kohima, I have Achumbemo Kikon, spokesman of the opposition Naga People's Front. From Shillong, I am joined by Professor Prasenjit Biswas from Nehru University. And of course, at our studios in Guwahati, I have Mr. Dilip Bora, Vice President of the Akham Gana Parishad, and Mr. Mayur Bora, writer and political commentator. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. I'd first like to go and take a view from outside Mizoram, because Mizoram has been the trigger for this discussion, but I'll come to Adam and the others a little later. First of all, Nisikant Sapam, what is your take? The MNF victory, the decisive victory of the Mizo National Front in Mizoram, do you think that has once again demonstrated that regional parties are absolutely relevant and that they're going to play a key role in 2019? Nisikant.
See, MNF will surely play its role because it's won the election on its own, literally. MNF has always been a very strong regional party. They were in the opposition, but it's a different story in Manipur. In Manipur, we have the MPP, which is there, but their presence is really not felt. And if you look at NPP, the Kongrat Sangma group, and of course, like the BJP has tied up with AGP, these regional parties will surely play a big role for the Northeast.
So that is your opening remark.
If you look at Nagaland too.
Absolutely.
Not in Manipur.
Absolutely. In his opening remark, except Manipur, Nisikant Sapam thinks that regional parties are going to play a key role. I'll come to you, Johnson. Dr. Prasenjit Biswas, what is your take? How important are the regional parties going to be in 2019, Prasenjit? Prasenjit, I'll come to you. I'll come to you a little later. But Johnson, what is your take from distance? Do you think regional parties will play a key role? That parties like the Congress and the BJP, they cannot afford to do without regional parties in 2019?
Well, yes, one of my brother has said that Yes, regional party obviously will definitely play a very important role. But in the case of Manipur, as we have seen in the past, there is a heavy central, what you call, influence. Whichever government which is in the center definitely tries to form its government at the state level. So we can have a glaring example of it during the Samata Party regime in 1977. When there was Janata Party, we have a Janata Party government in Manipur. So this was the case. But in the case of the northeastern states, especially Nagaland, Mizoram, I think the core issues are now driving the people mindset. So generally, I think the people of Nagaland, Mizoram have bring out their consciousness in political sphere so that they can work out potentially with the regional parties. But I think that part is lacking in Manipur. So
Okay.
we have the MPP, which
So
was,
let's not go.
which formed the
Okay,
first
okay,
government
Johnson,
after the
hold your
General Assembly
thoughts.
1972.
Yes, Johnson, hold your thoughts. Adam, you know, the whole discussion follows the victory of the MNF in Mizoram. Adam, what is the significance of this victory? Because you have covered the election, you have looked at the elections very closely, and you have been, of course, commenting live on our studios, on our channel. But now the question is a little broader, Adam. How relevant will be the regional parties in 2019? Northeast has 25 seats. Do you think regional parties will be a key player in the Northeast?
Yes, and as far as the Northeast is concerned, with 25 seats, I think they would be fairly important. What we have seen, particularly with the Congress, is that the Congress has lost in all of these seats. So it is, I think it would be most probably advantage BJP if they're able to rope in the regional parties. At this point, for example, if you take Mizoram, you had the Chief Minister, Mr. Zoramthanga, clearly saying that they will remain part of the
Right.
NDA and that they will remain part of NEDA. Now, how that will play out, BJP can't afford to fight the Lok Sabha elections, particularly in states like Mizoram on their own. If they put up a candidate, I think the result is already conclusive at this point. They were only able to get one candidate, although they've opened their account in Mizoram. But if you look at Mizoram as a whole, if they put up one candidate on their own, it's more than likely that they will not get the Mizoram Lok Sabha seat. So definitely they will have to keep the MNF on good terms. And interestingly,
Right.
again, like Wasbir, so although the MNF has come to, you have the Team B, like you said.
Okay.
The biggest opposition party
Right.
in Mizoram right now is also a regional party, which is the ZPM.
Okay. So yes, it is not just the victory of the MNF, but the main opposition party also is another regional party, that is the Joram People's Movement, which has bagged 8 seats. 26 seats to the MNF and 8 seats to the Joram People's Movement, 34 seats gone. That means only 6 seats were shared by the other political parties, which is a big thing for regionalism in the Northeast. I'll come to my guest in the studio, but before that, let me quickly go to Mr. Achumbemo Kikon. Mr. Achumbemo Kikon, the spokesperson of the Naga People's Front, which is the main opposition party in Nagaland now. Mr. Achumbemo, how do you look? Do you think that whether it is the Congress, whether it is the BJP, regional parties are going to play a dominant role in the coming days in politics in the Northeast? Achumbemo.
Yes, I can hear you. Definitely, because the era of one political party role is over as far as India is concerned. It is a coalition era, and in this political scenario, the regional political party has a major role to play, and it is playing. And as far as the NBF is concerned, this is the second oldest regional political party in the country. Next to DMK is the Naga People's Front, which was formed in 1964. It is running as a political party for the past 54 years. And we are actually the torch bearer of the regional political party as far as not only in the country, but especially the Northeast is concerned. And you see the presence of NBF not only in the state of Nagaland, but also in the state of Manipur, where we have 4 NBF MLAs supporting the present government, which has actually helped the BJP-led government to form the government in the present state of Manipur. And as some of the panelists have already given their comment about the regional political parties as far as the Northeast is concerned, it is the NPF actually who is playing much more like a fatherly role to elevate the other political parties existing in the Northeast also. And in this change, in this scenario, as far as the political parties are concerned, NPF as a regional political party has played its role in strengthening in all aspects.
Absolutely. Mr. Kikon, hold on.
Yes.
Mr. Kikon, hold on your thoughts. You know, I will come to you, Prosenjit, in a minute, but Mr. Dilip Bora, you know, do you think there is your party leaders during the Panchayat election in Assam has said that, you know, when there was this war of words going on, some of your party leaders said that, you know, the BJP piggybacked on the AGP. They rode on the shoulders of the AGP to assume power in Assam. That may or may not be correct, but that is what you had said. But my question is not that. My question is, how relevant are regional parties going to be in 2019? Do you think parties like the BJP or for that matter the Congress, they can do without? Can they ignore the regional parties in the Northeast?
I'll tell one thing, that since 1989, the one-party rule, that is the All India Party rule in India, is over since 1989. More or less since then, coalitions are ruling the country, whether it is UPA, whether it is NDA, like that. So I don't think that any All India party can do without the regional parties. So far as Assam is concerned, we have 14 seats out of this 25 in Northeast region. And it's a fact that in the last few elections, AGP is not able to get parliamentary seats. But still, the Congress or the BJP for that matter, they are not getting all the seats. The parties like AIUDF, BPF, etc., they are getting these seats, 1 or 2 seats like that every time. And if our party plays the cards correctly, I believe
you'll also
that even today.
So if BPF is getting missed, BPF is also a regional party. So since we are discussing the regional party,
that is what I am saying.
Yes,
that is why I am saying that regional parties are very much relevant.
Absolutely,
and will remain relevant in India, which is a conglomeration of states.
Absolutely,
it is not a one nation kind of entity as say UK is.
Absolutely. We'll develop on that, Mr. Dilip Bora. I'll come to you, Mayur Bora, last for your overall opening remark. Dr. Prosenjit Biswas, what are your thoughts? How do you think the big national parties can do without regional parties, or vice versa? You know, today, some of the regional parties also needs the support of the national parties to assume in some, you know, play a dominant politics in the region or in the states. Prosenjit.
Yes, they must have a pragmatic relationship between them, because regional parties represent certain kinds of blocks of ethnicity and smaller political groups, while national parties do represent a certain kind of national ideology. Now, from the point of view of national ideology, the smaller regional groups do matter in the sense that they can either strengthen the national party or they can even mar the prospects of the national party. Therefore, the pragmatic relationship between the two is very, very important. The second thing is that regional parties themselves are divided. Think about Meghalaya, PDF and UDP. They do not really agree on seat sharing even for Lok Sabha. So regional parties are also getting polarized as Lok Sabha election is approaching. They all want to gain their success at the cost of other regional partners. So it's not really possible to generalize to say that regional parties can really become key player. They can become key player provided certain conditions of political contingency are met, and if there is a kind of a alliance with a larger national bloc, such as if they are part of Mahagathbandhan or if they are part of NDA.
Right. I'll come to you, Prosenjit. Mayur Bora, now there is a feeling that the BJP, which has floated the Northeast Democratic Alliance, that's a very, very interesting strategy of the party that was done soon after the Assam elections. They won the elections in Assam in 2016. The first thing they did was to form NEDA. Through NEDA, they gathered a conglomeration of like-minded regional parties. There is a fear at some of these parties, there is a fear among analysts and critics saying that BJP will at the end of the day engulf, they will gulp the regional parties. Now, for example, Ganasakti, they continue to remain as Ganasakti, but they're playing the elections under with the symbol of the BJP. So there are small instances like this. Now, does it also reflect the regionalization of the BJP, Moyor?
Yeah, to some extent, actually, NEDA, if you see, I personally feel it's a very astute and adroit reflection of real politics and some kind of regionalization of BJP, because they know it very well in northeastern region. You have given the example of Arunachal Pradesh. If I can take up one state where suppose X party comes to power at the center, immediately you will find that the regional party or the other party which is ruling the roost in the state, they also change overnight. So seeing all those developments in the last 20-30 years, I think they have seen BJP, their political acumen and prowess, whether I like it or dislike it, I think that has is part of the lore now. So
right.
everyone admits and recognizes that. That's why immediately in 2016 you have seen formation of NEDA, and because of that you see in Meghalaya they have got only 2 seats, but they are part of NEDA. Then you take the example of Mizoram. I think they got only one seat. But even then Jorang Thamda fighting so fiercely during the election time, after he was elected and all, he said I will be part of the NEDA. But one fundamental thing I would like to say, why we have these regional parties, not only in Northeast it is more intense, you will also find in mainland India, because we have a federal system of government but with strong unitary bias.
Absolutely.
When you have strong unitary bias, aspiration of the people cannot be sufficiently reflected
by the national parties.
center. That's
Absolutely.
why regional parties will always be there.
Regional entities.
Just 10 seconds if you give me, one thing that you see
Mm-hmm.
last 2-3 days, how people have gone to Ramvilas Paswan and Chirag Paswan. This is also a testimony to the fact that regional forces are powerful. That's why he was driven down to the BJP chief's place and he was trying to be appeased and placated before, because the other minister had already
Absolutely.
left.
Hold on. Let me go to Nishikant. I'll come to you, Adam, in a minute. Nishikant, you know, the Congress emerged as the largest single party in Manipur, Nishikant. The Congress during the last elections emerged as the largest single party, but BJP acted in a super fast manner, and there were enough regional parties to give support to the BJP. So NPF was there, and NPP, of course, it's a middle between a national and a regional party, it's a midpoint. So, but there were NPF, there were other independents and all who lent support to the BJP. So, at the end of the day, the regional parties are going to, looks like that they are the kingmakers in the Northeast. Nishikant.
Yeah, like my younger brother Johnson said, Manipur is what it is. It's a reflection of what's in the center. Though the Congress was the biggest party, single biggest party, people from NPP had actually originally walked into the Chief Minister's bungalow, but they walked out somehow, if I'm right. And then, of course, BJP has a fantastic team when it comes to politics and government making. They were far smarter, far more aggressive than the Congress. I think the Congress at that time, with all due respect, had no support from the central leadership.
So, no, yeah, that is one issue, but Johnson...
I think the Congress government, they were scared. I think they were scared.
Yeah, but the bottom line, Johnson Alangbaum, the bottom line is that my question was, regional parties do hold a key. So, at the end of the day, we are getting a sense, in the Northeast, there is a sense that regional parties are extremely, extremely important, isn't it?
Yes, yes, of course. Yes, of course, regional parties are very important in the political scenario of Northeast, especially in Manipur. Now we have witnessed the emergence of regional parties way back in the late 1960s, when you have the Manipur People's Party ruling for the first time in Manipur. The sad part is that it doesn't last long, because whichever regional party which has been formed in Manipur, there are numerous numbers of regional parties, all die out after the election. So no single regional party could carry forward the momentum of the people aspiration which was there at the time of creation of the party. Now the main point is now how this regional party is going to work out in the forthcoming elections, because many of the regional parties are now continuing with infightings, no reasonable political objectives visible in with them. And I think that this has also created a bad precedent. So the people have almost certainly lost certain level of faith on them.
Absolutely.
So basically that is why some of the national parties are trying to enter into Manipur, saying that it's a national party with a regional outlook. I think.
True. True. No, but even the national parties take this slogan during election that we are a national party with a regional outlook. The Congress says that. BJP also is saying that in so many words. But Mr. Achumbemo Kikon, most of the time we see that two regional parties cannot form a coalition. You know, two regional parties. In Nagaland, perhaps the NDPP and the NPF could have also formed a coalition, but they are all looking at power. So nobody is willing to sacrifice. Nobody is willing to give the number one position. So it is more difficult for two regional parties to unite, isn't it?
Mr. Wasbir, I would like to say that as far as the NPF is concerned, I've already mentioned earlier that this is one of the oldest regional political party in the Northeast and the second in the entire country. Coming back to your question, as far as the NDPP is concerned, they have just formed 1 year back, whereas this NPF was formed in 1964, 54 years back. This party has sustained for the past half century. You must remember that.
No, Mr. Kikon,
and
Mr. Kikon,
this
if I may interrupt
party represents the interest and aspirations of the Nagas in particular and the Northeast region in general.
No, Mr. Kikon, I was asking a general question. Let
me complete your question.
No.
I'll answer your question.
Is it more difficult for two regional parties to unite? As a regional party leader, I am asking you this question, not necessarily in the context of Nagaland. I am asking you a general question. Is it more difficult for two regional parties to unite and have a coalition government? Is it correct assessment or not?
No, the answer is absolutely no. It can unite. We can form a common minimum interest, common minimum program. We have experienced the United Front government under Deve Gowda, under Gujral, and earlier also there was a Janata government. These were an experience which this country have already experienced in the past, and it is still possible because the regional force, the regional political parties, is now a force to be reckoned. The national parties like the Congress or the BJP, as some of our panelists have already mentioned, without the support of the regional political parties, now no government can form in the center. And why this is happening? Because of one aspect is on not being properly addressed by the central government on the regional interest.
Aspirations are not addressed
in
properly.
terms of development, in terms of its
I have noted your point. I have noted your point,
Mr.
Kikon. Please hold on. Please, I'll go for a break. But before that, very quickly, Adam, even during the campaign, the JPM, or for that matter, Mr. Joram Thanga, particularly the JPM had very categorically said that it will be extremely difficult for them to align or have a coalition with the MNF. But they said that they had no problem in perhaps aligning with a party like the Congress. So it is difficult for two regional parties to unite rather than uniting with a national party. Adam, what are your thoughts?
Well, Mizoram, yes, definitely. That's what there was a lot of campaigning against each other between the MNF and the ZPM. That was definitely there. People were actually commenting here that the ZPM was fighting the MNF more than it was fighting the Congress. And there's a very local context to this, particularly in Mizoram, is that the MNF leadership and the ZPM leadership, I think they have some sort of fairly personal enmity, so to say.
Yeah.
And I think that in Mizoram particularly, I can't really say about the other states, but in Mizoram particularly, I don't really see the ZPM and the MNF coming together. Not
Absolutely,
in the near
Adam.
future,
Hold on
at
your
least.
thoughts. I will go for a short break, but when I come back, I will ask Mr. Dilip Bora whether it is possible for two regional parties tonight. It is not possible. Is it not possible because they are all fighting for the same space and the same vote bank? That is my question. That question will also go to Prasenjit and Moir Bora. We'll go for a short break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Prasenjit Biswas, I'm going to ask this question to Mr. Dilip Bora next. Prasenjit Biswas, why is it usually difficult for two regional parties to come together? Is it because they are fighting the same space, they are fighting for the same space, they are fighting to garner the same vote bank actually?
Yeah, apparently it is like this, but a deeper reason could be that they want to develop ethnic movements in a certain way. And most of the regional parties are byproducts of some kind of ethnic movements, which is backed up by a certain kind of ethnic militia or ethnic insurgency. Now, this kind of a movement itself is highly vociferous. They cannot become stable in terms of a stable form of a political party. Worldwide, we can see such smaller political parties remaining highly unstable. Now, if regional parties remain so unstable, look at the AGP. Even today, the moment it falls back on the cause of the Assam movement, it cannot really keep on its alignment with BJP. It becomes extremely difficult for a regional party to come with any other kind of ideology or any other form of ideation.
Right.
Because their base is down to earth and they are totally concentrated on a small group.
Right. Right.
As a result, they cannot really transcend. The problem is that they cannot transcend their narrow ideology.
Dilip Bora?
No, I have to differ with him. The first thing is that this is not a question of uniting. Assam situation is completely different than what is obtainable in Mizoram, Nagaland, or to some extent even in Meghalaya. Because in Assam, regional parties are not fighting for the same space. And it's not a question of uniting, it's a question of forming a coalition. So Assam, it is very much possible, because if you see the regional parties in Assam like AGP, BPF, then your missing Autonomous Council, those parties, and then Rabha Hasong, and everybody is actually representing separate ethnic groups. And not uniting them, forming a coalition amongst themselves is very much possible. That is why I personally believe that an alternative discourse on regionalism is very much the call of the day for my party as well as the other parties, if they want to champion the aspirations of the people of this region. Because one thing you must admit, that Assam is comprising of different ethnic groups,
right,
and they have different aspirations. We have to bring together all these aspirations to a common platform.
Yeah. Which is easier.
Then project our
Absolutely.
regional aspirations.
Absolutely.
Regional
Which
aspirations is not narrow, Mr. Biswas. He has said it is narrow. It is not narrow. Regionalism is focusing on the development of a political system which will emphasize on the aspirations of those people, and those aspirations will involve ethnicity, that will involve language, that will involve culture, custom, everything. Our problem is that we are always thinking in terms of only political power.
Now, Moir Bora,
that is why it is very essential to think like that.
True.
Alternative discourse.
You see, if there is a massive wave in favor of one particular regional party, like it was in Mizoram this time, then they decide to ignore all the national parties and they stick to their own, you know. But whenever there is a fractured verdict, even if 2 or 3 regional parties can come together and get the numbers, they usually don't. They usually align with a national party, whether it is the Congress or whether it is the BJP. In the current couple of years, it has been with the BJP. Is it because a regional party always wants to align with a party in power at the center? Because that is also one of the belief that they always want to align with a party in center, because at the end of the day, it is the funds that
Yes.
does the trick.
See, election season is over. Let us be brutally frank about this. Regional parties, why they cannot unite 2 or 3? I personally disagree with Professor Biswas when he has laid lot of emphasis on fissiparous tendencies. In Assam, this may not be practicable or relevant when AGP came to power twice. Secondly, I personally agree with Dilip Bora also when he said that it is possible. But the main fundamental question that you have been raising, if fund is not there, today what is the condition of AGP? Let's be very honest in Panchayat election, because we have seen how the ruling party and as well as Congress had invested money in the election, whereas AGP, they were trying or floundering. They have not been able to have that kind of money. So whether we like it or dislike it, the real truth is money speaks. How deep is your pocket? If your pocket is deep, that means it is going to be to some extent dictating the contours of the politics.
Let me, the point well taken. Mayur. Let me go to Nishikant in Imphal. Nishikant, you know, Manipur at one point of time, the Manipur People's Party was the leading regional party. They had formed a government also on occasions. Now we just don't hear about the regional parties. Now the moment the Congress and the BJP, they will flock to either the Congress or the BJP for support. Now basically, is it because why do you think, what are some of the causes for this? Why is the decline of regional parties in Manipur? Because that is contrasting picture. In Mizoram, they are on the rise. In Nagaland, regional forces are very strong. In Assam also, the regional parties are rather strong. So why are the regional parties not strong in Manipur? What are your thoughts?
Well, like the panelists in Guwahati said, it's about the funds and the power. There was our Chief Minister Nipamacha, in his time, I think it was the NDA that was in power, and the entire opposition came onto the side of the NDA. And there was only Rishan Kishing who was left out as the only opposition. So Manipur, if you see, I don't know, regional parties' presence is hardly there. And we all go by who's in the power, who's in the center. If it's BJP, it's going to be BJP. If it's going to be Congress, it's going to be Congress. That's how it's been. So it's, I think, more to do with the money and the power and everything.
So, Johnson...
So imagine you had out of 60 people, 59 on one side.
Yes. That time, Mr. Risang Kishing of the Congress was the only opposition in the 60-member Manipur Assembly. Johnson, do you agree to this view?
Yeah.
Do you agree to this view? The regional parties are on an absolute decline in Manipur, and that they are always willing to side with the party in power at the center.
Well, Wasbir, I think this is not a new phenomena in Manipur. If you go back into the history, I think regional parties will definitely form a government, and after 1 year, 2 years, it just fall down. One of the basic reason is, like in Mizoram, you have the MNF. We must not forget that MNF is a party which has signed a Mizo Accord. You have in Assam the AGP. And one of my friends from Nagaland has repeatedly mentioned about NPF. Now, NPF is a party which floats on the ideology of the Naga solution peace, lasting peace, Naga peace. I think so. These are definitely very concrete political objectives. Now, that part is missing in Manipur. None of regional parties which are founded in Manipur haven't come out with this kind of ideological support. I think the people aspirations are there, the regional outlook are very strong, but this political aspiration and the strength of the people cannot be converted into a political force as of now by any of the regional parties which have been formed in Manipur. I think there are innumerable number of regional parties. So this is one of the basic factor. Now another important thing which I am now beginning to find out is the power hungry. I think some of the panelists also mentioned about it. Now, the sad part, the tragedy is, whichever government sits at the center definitely tries its hand also. This is also a very unfortunate thing, because See, the BJP, whether it's the BJP or the Congress, doesn't try to leave the regional parties alone. They try to infiltrate into the political system and bring all the regional parties into their fold. I think this is also one of the thing which is happening.
You hold on your thoughts. I'll have to bring Adam as well as Achumbemo into the discussion. Adam, one of the reasons who have been cited, do you think in Mizoram, why is it that, you know, that ZPM was able to get 8 seats this time round and the MNF 26, so 34 of the 40 seats have gone to regional parties. That means both the MNF as well as the ZPM, they have been able to capture the possible seats of national political parties like the Congress, which has been in power continuously for 10 years, and the BJP, which was making a desperate bid to, you know, come up with a good results this time but failed. That's a different story. But they did contest the election very seriously in Mizoram this time. Adam.
Well, I think if you look at the MNF victory, there was one thing that was very, not just the MNF, but the ZPM as well, the regional parties. There was something that was very, very interesting, was that there is a lot of familiarity with, for example, the candidates with the leadership as well, both for the MNF as well as the ZPM. Now, when people become familiar that way with their with their candidates, so for example, the BJP's candidates, you know, a lot of them were frankly not very well known. So, you know, in a small state like Mizoram, and I think in a lot of the other states where society is very close-knit, you know, you have people practically knowing almost everyone else in their city or their town.
Right.
So that plays a major factor. You know, so for in that kind of circumstance, it's very difficult for national parties to come to put candidates that are not too familiar with the electorate, you know, and trying to get a lot of votes. You know, that's just not possible in that scenario.
No. Mr. Kikon, Achumbemo Kikon, you know, NPF, you have said about the history of your party, oldest political party in Nagaland, the NPF. NDPP is also a regional party. Many of your leaders have gone and formed the NDPP. But is your support base, is there a support base at all? Or is it based on programs and policies? Or do you think people vote by looking at the candidates? Because it's a small state, the number of electors are very small in constituencies, only 60 members. So what are your thoughts, Mr. Kikon? I think we don't have the line to Mr. Achumbemo Kikon. Prasenjit, if you have heard that question which I had asked Mr. Kikon of the NPF. Now question is, there are, in a small state like Nagaland where the number of electors or number of voters are quite small, how do people choose between two regional parties? Is it programs and policies, or is it just a rejection of a national party who is in the fray, that is in the fray? What are your thoughts, Prasenjit?
No, it is a little more complicated at little more complicated at the ground level, because it is this affinity to a certain tribe or a group or a community, and the representatives of that group who occupy the center space in a political party or in a political process actually captures the support of that group or the community or the ethnicity or the ethnicity. So the idea is that the political party must capture a whole group, and group-wise the entire larger community could be divided into many. Now, given such a situation, every group try to buttress a different kind of a claim. They claim a greater recognition, they claim a greater share of the resources, or they want to claim greater share of the power.
Right.
Now, whichever claim can be more attractive in democratic terms, in terms of articulating their positions, that will win the day. It's not money at all. Money can be taken by people, but money doesn't really buy votes. That's a misnomer.
Money can be taken by people, but not necessarily that you vote for the candidate from whom you have taken money. That is the contention of Prasenjit Biswas. But
obviously,
Mr. Kikon,
otherwise democracy will become money laundering.
Let me let me, oh, that is, you have got high hopes
Yes,
as
yes,
if
I
there
can
is
hear
no
you now.
money laundering. I'm not generalizing, but there are definitely instances of money laundering during elections.
Okay.
Mr. Achumbemo Kikon, you know, my question is, I just want to understand, you are two major political parties in Nagaland. You are the oldest
Yes,
party,
yes, I can
and
hear.
there is the NDPP, which has been formed by several of your people who had left and formed the NDPP. My question is, Kikon, is how do people choose? Because there is it a directly ideologically regional party supporters, or people choose candidates or policies and programs? What do you think? How would you like to say?
Well, as far as that question is concerned, the NBF in the last election has got 26 out of 59 candidates, which means there are 60 seats in Nagaland state, and out of which we have filled only 59 seats, 59 candidates. And out of 59, we are the single largest party as of now in the present 13th House of Nagaland Legislative Assembly. And therefore, I can definitely tell you that people voted for the ideology, the policies, the programs and policies, the manifestos of the NBF. Unfortunately, we were short of 5 short of the magic figure.
Right.
As far as the other political parties are concerned, yes, there are money involved, there are muzzle involved, as the election is not only in Nagaland, but it is happening everywhere. It has become a muzzle and money election kind of thing. And therefore, the NBF, on the part of the NBF, we went to the people, we were in power for the past 15 years, and people accepted our programs and policies. And we went to the people with, especially on the solution of the Naga political issue.
Yeah.
That is the main crux, the main
Absolutely.
issue which the NBF stands for, and it raised these issues in almost all the election. That is one of the main principle of the principal focus of the NBF. And Naga people, the voters, the voters in the state of Nagaland bought the idea which was propagated by the NBF, and we got the single largest party.
Absolutely. Now,
Unfortunately,
hold on,
of course, we
hold
could not
on,
form the
hold
government.
on, hold on, Mr.
It is
Kikon.
because the BJP
Right.
was in power in Delhi, and they had a seat sharing with the NDPP, and then the forces.
But-
the center forces,
Yes.
I just-
but
tell you that,
before
of course,
you
that has
respond,
also
Moyul
influenced
Bora, I want to ask you
part
a
of the
question
voters,
as well.
and that's
yes,
how-
Achumemo, hold on, hold on, hold
not
on to your
the
thoughts.
programs and policies.
Yeah, please hold on. Moyur, you see, Mr. Kikon is talking about the NPF ideology, but he was also talking about seat sharing between the BJP and the NDPP, which is his rival party now. My question is, even after that, even after the government was formed, the NPF, in the early days of the government, the NPF said that they were also, and Mr. Jeliang
Came into the power.
Gone and met the BJP leaders saying that we are still wanting to be with you.
Yeah.
So that is also something which we have to,
It's disturbing in a democracy.
take into account.
See,
isn't it?
Wasbir, let us be gracious to Mr. Kikon. He is telling that his party is an exception. Even if you concede to his argument, let
Yeah.
us do a fundamental thing. See, Prasenjit Biswas is telling only about money, and money cannot buy votes and all. Let me give you an example. Not only in Northeast or in India, you go to all throughout the world, it's a heady cocktail between money power as well as politics of primordiality. You see Turkey, you see in Russia, you see in Trump's rise in United States of America. So everywhere you
So
will find, that's why,
politics
just
of
give me primordiality
primordiality
plus money. Plus,
Primordial.
let me give you one example. After 42 years of this republic in 1989, I don't know why AGP has not been able to champion and highlight this. For the first time, 1989,
I would like to
VP Singh
add something
government,
here.
because of the pressure of AGP government, has changed the funding pattern from 30% grant and 70% loan to 90% grant and 10% loan as per the recommendation of LC Jain committee. But how many people in Assam who invoke regionalism, they know that, they really celebrate the fact? Nobody does that. So it is only about your money, and if you try to invoke somebody's fear and anxiety, invoking about his religion, ethnicity, caste, then I think this becomes a vote grabber. That's the irony and tragedy of Indian democracy now. If we do not accept that,
Dilip Bora,
I
please
think it will be
respond.
like
No,
every
about
other
this
country.
Dilip Bora has
90,
to
90 and 10, that proportion, that has already been highlighted in our manifesto also during 2016 and our speeches in election meetings. Also, we have repeatedly talked about this. But unfortunately, actually economic policies and issues relating to the development of the state has taken a backseat because of these ethnic problems that is rampant in Assam. And
No,
also, listen, also non-implementation of the various clauses of the Assam Accord for a very long time. But secondly, one thing I must tell, that during this Mizoram election, the BJP could manage to get a single seat from the Bru-dominated area, which is completely different from the Mizo dominant areas. Because this Jadaram, is it Jadaram?
Yeah, Joram Nationalist Party,
Nationalist Party and the MNF, they represent the Mizos, and the Brus actually were having lot of problem with the greater Mizo society, and as a result, some of them have to flee from Mizoram and live in Tripura for a very long time. No, BJP has brought them by bus to vote in this election.
Let us not talk about BJP.
That is why.
Let's say that
What I am saying,
it was an election commission decision to
no,
bring
it's
them from the
okay, but
refugee camps.
it is okay. But the thing, what I am
vote.
wanting to say is that this is a national parties. They try to always divide the people and that garner political support.
Then you have a lot to answer. Then why are you aligning with a party that divides the people?
No,
you cannot say that.
I have told about both the national parties. I have not talked about BJP alone. I have talked about national parties, and that is why it is a real political situation becomes different because of, as you have already said, that even in those states where the national regional parties have captured power on their own, they have gone to the center because center controls the funds. And without fund, you cannot develop the state.
Fund is a key factor. Let me go to Nishikant.
This is a kind of a blackmail.
Let me please go to Nishikant. Nishikant, can we say that only the regional parties can champion local aspirations? At the end of the day, it's immaterial whether you are a regional party or a national party, because if you are contesting state elections, you have to champion the cause of the people, isn't it? At the end of the day, it is just that. You have to champion the cause of the people.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
So, at the end of the day...
Can you come again?
No, my question to you, Nishikant, is that, at the end of the day, whether you are a national party or a regional party, you have to champion the cause of your local issues, isn't it? You have to champion the cause of your people. Only then you can expect to be elected.
That goes without... Absolutely. That goes without saying.
So then, do you think the question whether regional parties... do you think the question whether regional parties are relevant or not, that is immaterial?
No, regional parties should be relevant, but the thing is that you have candidates from the regional party joining Congress and vice versa. So I don't know how far they are stuck to the ideology. But having said that, even whether it's BJP or the Congress, they will all play to the sentiments of the local people here. There are two aspects. You win their hearts like that or you buy them. And it will be very naive to say, like the other gentleman said, that money power is not important. It is very, very important. Very important. Money, muscle power, and of course you try to win people with ideology also.
Johnson, immaterial whether you are BJP, Congress, MPP, NPF or NPP, at the end of the day, you have to champion the cause of the people and your performance at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not getting you clearly, but as you have raised this question, I think it is very pertinent to know, to understand the situation, like in the case of Manipur, like as you have said, like regional parties definitely has a role to play. Now, comparing it with the national parties, regional issues and problems has to be, deepened and has to be looked into further and for further assessment. I think that can only be done with the local inputs, and that part is lacking with the national parties. So this is one of the important thing which I have observed. But the thing is, as I have already said before, that the center, whichever the center tries to interfere into these regional parties and try to amalgamate them into the central national parties. This is one of the bad phenomena which has happened in the state for so many years. Now, as we have raised the importance of regional parties in the forthcoming 2019, I think it's going to be a very acid test for all the regional parties. Either they come out with a strong political objective, I think, which is going to run over the hearts of thousands of Manipuris. I think that is important. And in the case of NPF, as one of my fellow from Nagaland has said, NPF is a political party which is solely based on the Naga talks, Naga peace. I think, and also NPF muscling in those areas of Naga inhabited area is well known. So I think most of the parties, including national and regional parties, flex their muscles when elections come, and we have crystal clear proof for that also. How people have suffered injuries, died, beaten up during the course of the election. I think on one way, I think the regional parties are now lacking to come out with a solid political objective for the course of the region. I think that is missing in Manipur.
About people are discussing about regional parties and national parties. Let me give you two examples of why national political parties, mainly Congress and BJP, their indifference and double standard in respect of regional aspirations are known to all. Give me one example. When Congress was in power after independence for many decades, all the important stadium, monument, everything has to be, 90% of them has to be named after someone from the dynasty, Gandhi dynasty. Secondly, take the example of BJP before 2016. Their slogan was community, land and heart, Jati, Mati and Beti. But immediately after that, they have shown very scant regard to the aspirations of the people. So that's why we feel that regionalism is very, very important in a constitution where although we have a federal system, but with a strong unitary bias. When you have got strong unitary bias, powers will be with you. And plus,
I will go for a break, but before that, Prasenjit Biswas, see, take the case of Mizoram. After the break, I'll take this question to Adam. Now, Prasenjit, the same set of people in a small state like Mizoram with just 40 constituencies, only 7 lakh voters, they voted the Congress, which was a national party. Now, the same people routed the Congress, they voted wholesale for regional parties. Majority of them voted for the MNF and the rest voted for the ZPM. Now, there is nothing like a regional vote bank or a national party vote bank. It's just pure issue of delivery and performance. It's simple, isn't it? In a way.
Yes. No, there is no captive vote bank, and the vote banks keep shifting depending on the incumbency factor. Apart from that, the opportunism of some of the political leaders, opportunism both in a good sense as well as in a bad sense, lend them into a kind of unholy alliance occasionally, and also into a pragmatic alliance in another occasion. Therefore, depending on the occasion, circumstances and context, regional parties can make themselves relevant. But the critical issue is as if they are waiting to be taken a berth in national party. Many of the regional players behave like this.
Absolutely.
And they sacrifice the ideology of regionalism so much that they only run for money and power.
Absolutely.
And this is the nemesis of regionalism.
Absolutely.
In the whole of Northeast.
Absolutely. And moreover, I'll come back to your primordial issues also cannot be ignored. On that note, we go for a short break. Stay on, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Adam Saprinsanga in Aizawl. Adam, I was asking this question to Dr. Prasenjit Biswas. The same set of people who had voted for the Congress for 10 years, 2 terms, the same set of people voted for the MNF and the ZPM. So there is nothing called ideology. There is only something called performance and faith and trust. Or lack of trust.
Yeah, that's very true in the Mizoram context, definitely, because you had after the elections were concluded and after the vote counting was over, we spoke to both leaders from all of the parties, especially the ZPM, the Congress, as well as the MNF. And a lot of the feeling within the top leadership was also that this was in one way a negative vote against the Congress. Why do you have the Congress going from 34 seats in the previous assembly to just 5 now? The reason is basically that people were not satisfied with the performance of the Congress during their 10-year rule. And
Right.
that way, if you look at it, people were looking for change. That was very apparent. People were looking, particularly in Aizawl city, where out of 11 seats in Aizawl city, you had 6 going to the ZPM. And the ZPM was promising change, a new way of doing things. And also, the MNF, particularly in the rural areas, they got a majority of the seats, especially in the Mizo-dominated areas. And that means that practically, people had lost faith in the Congress. This had happened 10 years ago also, Wasbir. So that's very interesting in the way, people they look at a government, its performance, what they have done for both the urban and rural areas, what they have done for people
Absolutely.
in healthcare, in
Now,
schools, for education,
Adam, hold
all
on.
that kind of thing.
Let me
and
go
then
to,
they
let
see
me
the
go to
performance and said, okay, it's time for
Achumbemo.
change. And that's how they vote.
Yeah, let me bring in Mr. Achumbemo Kikon to the discussion. Achumbemo, you were talking about ideology. You were talking about ideology a little while ago. But if you look at the case of Mizoram, the same people voted for the Congress, the same people now voted for the MNF and the ZPM. Now my question to you, Mr. Achumbemo Kikon, is that at the end of the day, you have to perform. You have to perform what you promise, isn't it? Otherwise, you are not going to get a decisive verdict.
Yes, of course. As a political party, we normally go to the people, to the poll, with certain objectives, certain manifestos, promising that once we are elected to power, we will do this, we will do that. And I cannot speak on behalf of other political parties. As far as the NPF is concerned, I have already mentioned we were in power for the past 15 years because the voters of Nagaland, they have bestowed their trust on the NPF. One, particularly on the Naga political issue, because we are fully committed on finding peaceful and honorable solution. Second, on the developmental aspect, and also bringing the whole Nagas together. This is one of the objectives of the NPF. And not only the Nagas alone, we have started reaching out to our neighbors that the entire Northeast region must come together and through some political platform. And this is one important role which NPF has been playing. And this has also actually inspired some of the other regional political parties to come together. And if not only NPF, if you see the AGB, they have also started with the Assam movement. So also with the MNF, how they have come into being. They were a part of the underground movement. And so on and so forth, like that. So as far as the regional parties are concerned, we all have our own particular objective aspirations. But all this comes together, we have to evolve a common goal, common interest, because especially in the Northeast region, as far as, so long as we remain divided, the main forces, the central, the mainstream, the center is so powerful to crush us. Therefore, the political parties, not only in the civil society's forum, but the political parties as a whole must understand one another and take our issue forward.
Absolutely. Now, I'm asking a slightly different question to Nishikant. Mr. Nishikant Sapam, we are talking about regional aspirations in the northeastern region. This is perhaps a unique region in the country where every single community has a student group, every single community has a political party, and you like it or not, every single community has also a militant group as much as possible. There is the Kukis, there is the Metis, there is the Assamese, there is the Mizos earlier, there are the Nagas. Every community has a militant group, every community has a student group, every community has a mainstream or a local political party. Now, there is at three parallel levels the movement goes on. So, despite that, despite these subnational aspirations, why is it that the Northeast national parties have been able to play a very, very dominant role? Until 2015, it was the Congress which was playing a dominant role in the Northeast, and now it is the BJP. I'm asking this question to Mayur as well, after you, Nisikant.
I think unlike NDF, I think our local parties in Manipur are not representing Manipur, well. So I think somewhere that's why the regional parties aren't as strong. We need an objective for the welfare of Manipur. Like you said, even Meiteis have our underground this thing for Manipur. We have many student organizations, many NGOs, but we don't have one solid political party which would represent the aspirations of the Meiteis. So I think that is lacking. And then again, though it is BJP is a national party and so is the Congress National Party, but those who are contesting are all local people. And they go to the people promising whatever aspirations they can, lay out to them. So that's how it's been in Manipur.
Johnson?
We do lack a local party which would represent the people.
Johnson?
Yeah, in the case of Manipur, I think it is almost the same viewpoint. Now, one of my observation is like, do we have a third alternative other than BJP or Congress? Now, we have seen this happen in Delhi, like Aam Aadmi Party all of a sudden came into a surge of, to become a major powerful third alternative front party. So I think that is also missing in the case of Manipur. Now, I think other than BJP or Congress, which party is going to solve that? I think this is very important. Now we have the Manipur National Democratic Front, the India Development Party, we have the NPP and the Manipur People's Party. So many regional parties are there with a different politically and ideologically different views. So these political regional parties are not going to converge into a common, what you call, minimum political objective. This is also missing. So I think, and one thing is like, as I have seen in the case of the northeastern state, I think not only Manipur, many of the political parties which has been formed in this region has not come out with a political leader which can at least go to a national level.
Absolutely. Hold on, Johnson. Let me come to you, Mayur Bora. My question is, you see, Mizoram, it's one single large community. It's a homogeneous entity, the Mijos. In Nagaland, although there are lots of tribes, but there is something, an overall overarching umbrella called the Nagas. Now, in the case of Assam, we have the AGP, Assam Gana Parishad, supposed to be representing the entire state of Assam, but they have got very limited influence only in the Brahmaputra Valley. Because if you go to the Boro areas, they have the Boreland People's Front and other parties. If you go to the Karbi Anglong, NC Hills, if you go to the tribal areas, they have got different parties. Perhaps that is one of the reasons why the AGP has not emerged as strong as possible. That's because even in the height of the Assam Accord, they could manage only a certain number of seats. My question is it the same thing in Manipur, because they are only representing the Meiteis? They cannot claim to represent the entire Manipur, which comprises Kukis and Nagas as well. So, do you think regional parties at the end of the day, except in homogeneous entities like Mizoram and all, a very limited role to play?
No, that's true. Geography and other ethnicity and other differences that you
Ethnicity,
have
mainly.
really highlighted and underlined by giving the example of Manipur and Assam is right. Assam, if you take the example of AGP, one of the most important shortcomings of AGP, despite being a votary of regionalism, is that AGP later on became the Assamese Ganaparikhad. It is as if it's the people for the Assamese speaking people, whereas in Assam we have got number of indigenous tribes
Right.
whose mother tongue is not Assamese. Somehow they have not been able to get along with all those people. That's why other regional parties have also come to the picture. But even then, Wasbir, as you were mentioning some time back about the sub-nationalist ethos and sentiments, I will tell you that regional parties you take, by and large you can generalize, they are not as brazen as the all India level government, big political parties in respect of their desire to grab power. Just I will give you two examples. Who allowed Silanas in that mosque or the disputed territory? It was Rajiv Gandhi. And who overturned the Shahbano case? It was Rajiv Gandhi led, because 3/4 majority, with 3/4 majority in the parliament, they have overturned the judgment. And now, you know what has happened in 6 December 1992. You know also how the ruling party and there are many other umbrella organizations are trying to threaten even the Supreme Court. Why?
How- why are you bringing all
politics.
those things
no,
now into
why?
this
See,
discourse?
important thing
No,
is,
no, you
the
cannot-
important thing is, no.
Let us
They
stick to
are
the
very
discussion.
brazen. If you have to compare with regional, then only you will get a clear picture.
So
Viewer
let
will
us
get a
not
clear
forcefully
picture.
drag
So
such issues.
they are so
Now, that is
brazen.
not the-
They are
not
so
the core
brazen
of the
compared
discussion.
to that. I think the regional sub-national feelings about whom you have hinted some time back is much more important
Now-
and required for the people.
Now,
That's what I am trying to highlight.
Let me go. I'm coming to you, Prasenjit. Let me go to Mr. Dilip Bora. Mr. Dilip Bora, you are, apart from being a spokesman for your party, you are also a brutally frank man. Now, my question is, do you think the AGP, a party like the AGP, I'm not asking for in the current context, a party like the AGP, do you think it has its own limitations? What Moyur
No,
has said that-
I have already, before Moyur told, in fact, in my opening remark itself, I told that there is an alternative discourse is a necessary for development and,
Strengthening the regional party like the AGP.
strengthening the, not AGP, regionalism. That is why AGP has to go for an alternative discourse and being inclusive of all other ethnic groups in the state. Because what are the aspirations of the ethnic groups in the state? They want land rights. Now, because the AGP is unable to give assurance on land rights, they have formed different autonomous councils where they are aspiring that someday their land rights will be protected under the constitution. So, under the 6th schedule or whatever, they will have this possibility. But AGP is not able to give that so far. But we have to think about those terms also. Then secondly, their language, culture, customs. These are regional aspirations. They include regional aspirations. That is why we cannot be hegemonic. Like Moyur also said, that if we only propagate that Assamese kind of thing, then in Assam, the regionalism cannot be represented solely by one single party.
It will
They will
crumble,
be fragmented. They will be
Absolutely,
fragmented.
absolutely.
That is why an
I think
different-
that explains a lot. Being a man from the AGP.
That is why we are
representing his
trying.
party,
We are trying to
there is
bring this new discourse to the regional party in Assam.
AGP bringing in new discourse to the issue of regionalism and including other political parties into the thing. Now, Prasenjit Biswas, Dr. Prasenjit Biswas, that way. Okay, we'll come to Prasenjit in a while. But let me take the same question to Mr. Achumbemo Kikan. Achumbemo, Nagaland, what has been your experience? Nagaland has also been a Congress bastion. It has been a Congress bastion, except for 1 or 2 terms where the NPF was in the government. Largely, it was the Congress that had been ruling the state. That was in the height of the Naga insurgency. If we, on one side, we see the Naga insurgency as a sub-national movement. It's a very strong sub-national movement, the Naga rebellion. During that time, in the peak of the Naga rebellion, it was the Congress, a national party that was ruling in Nagaland. So how do you explain this, Achumbemo?
Yes. This party was formed in 1964 with a different nomenclature. Of course, the motto "Feti non armis," Latin catchword, which means by faith, not by arms, and with its symbol, the roster, the cock. It was formed in 1964 under the nomenclature as Democratic People of Nagaland. And we won 8 seats. And at that point of time, there was the height of insurgency, as you have mentioned. The clash between the Naga National Worker and the Indian Army was at its peak. And this political platform was formed to enable to bring these warring groups, the Naga National Group as well as the Government of India, to bring to a ceasefire and bring to a political dialogue. In 1964, you must remember that the first ceasefire between the Government of India and at that point of time, it was NNC-FGN. It was signed between the Government of India and the Naga National Worker under NNC-FGN. And 12 of the Kok party, the present NBF party, which has won from roster symbol, the Kok symbol, has resigned. 12 of them resigned to pave way for political negotiation to bring an amicable, peaceful solution to the Naga political issue. Now, after which the party thought that our role is over because we have brought these two groups, the Naga National Worker as well as the Government of India, to a negotiating table. And after which, of course, this political party sustained, it continues to remain as a political party registered under Election Commission of India. But of course, we have also taken a back seat in fully participating in the Indian electoral system because we were looking for a political solution instead of taking part in the Indian election, in the elections.
Right.
And therefore, for some time, the Congress, as the main political party in the center, was in power in Nagaland for quite some time. But again, the NBF regained its power, its glory back. The NBF came back to power again with the same ideology of resolving the Naga political issue. And since the political dialogue is going on between the Naga National Worker and the Government of India, we still stand by our commitment. This party is fully committed into a political solution, a peaceful solution,
I am
not
running
only
short of
to the
time.
Naga political issue, but the
Achumbe
other
Mo.
issues, the other political issues that are going on in the entire northeastern states.
Yeah, I'm running short of time. Thank you.
Yes.
Adam, your last words. Regional parties' key role. Are they going to play a key role in 2019? Adam, your last words.
Yes, I think so. Particularly in small states where they only have 1 or 2 Lok Sabha seats, I think the regional parties are definitely going to play a big role. And it will be interesting how the national parties also, kind of try and co-opt them once the results are out in case they win. In the larger states, I'm not too sure, but I think they would need their support in certain seats. For example, in Assam, I can foresee some areas where the national parties would need the support of the regional parties as well.
Right.
So yes, you definitely cannot rule out the regional parties, particularly in the elections next year.
Right. Nishikant, what are your concluding remarks? Mr. Nishikant Sapam.
I think in the entire Northeast, of course, the regional parties cannot be ignored, but not in Manipur. I think BJP will come to power. I mean, will get the seat in the 2019 Lok Sabha thing. But other areas, yes.
Johnson?
That's how the story has been. Dr. Maina, who's the Congress sitting MP, has always won.
I think as long as we don't come up with a very strong political objective, I think the regional party is going to be a fairly on a very line. I think second liner. I think not going to affect in the forthcoming election. I think.
Okay. Mr. Dr. Prasenjit Biswas, how would you like to wrap up this whole main theme of the debate, relevance of regionalism, and what are they going to hold the key for the 25 seats in the Northeast in 2019?
They are not really going to hold the key for maximum number of seats. They are going to be important in certain pockets where they are able to keep their voting base intact and the face of big money and onslaught from the national party and national media.
Why do you bring the
So,
media?
given this, regional parties will have to stand up to the challenge.
Oh, why do you dislike
If they are
me?
not able to stand up to challenge,
Prosenjit Biswas, why do you dislike?
mere talk about their prospect is
What
not going
kind of
to.
an onslaught? What kind of an onslaught do you expect from me or from our channel? You are talking the media. What kind of an onslaught?
No, national media.
Oh, national media. I call it the
media.
I call it the metropolitan media.
Brazenly propagate
Prosenjit Biswas,
nationalist
I call it.
idea,
I don't call the
idea
national
of one
media.
India and all those kind of stuff.
Okay, I have a
They will
different
not give any
nomenclature.
space
My
to Northeast India at all.
nomenclature for the national media is the metropolitan media. Dilip Bora, very quickly, I'm running out of time. Your last words.
People are very smart. They understand what is there at stake in the 2019 elections. If the regional party in Assam plays its cards properly, I think that it can play a very important role, at least in 4 to 5 seats. And out of 14 seats, 4 to 5 seats is a very good number of seats where they can make a difference. And that is why, so far as the 14 seats in Assam is concerned, AGP, BPF, and also some of the other smaller regional parties can play a very crucial role. And it will eat into the vote bank of the BJP and Congress both. That is why regional parties cannot be just whisked away.
Absolutely. Mayur Bora,
I don't want to predict
really
anything for
words.
2019, but I want a very, very liberal, forward-looking and inclusive regional force in the state of Assam. And I will request Dilip Bora and AGP to take some lessons also from BPF, how they can unite people and how they can fight very fiercely even in the face of various onslaught, if I can use Prosenjit Biswas words coming from different political parties. So regionalism is a must, I personally feel, because sometime back you asked me why you have taken up these big parties of the India, BJP and Congress, because I feel only regionalism has got some answer to the aspiration and expectation of the
Absolutely.
people. And that's why I am always for regionalism.
Absolutely.
But
And
whether AGP will come up to that level of regionalism
Yeah,
or not, that is the moot question.
Absolutely. On that note, we have come to the one conclusion that regionalism cannot be wished away. Regionalism is certainly a force to reckon with, but regional parties in the Northeast need to do a lot of course correction and be inclusive if they have to give a good fight to the national parties like the BJP or for that matter the Congress. On this note, I end this edition of Northeast Tonight. I'd like to thank all my panelists for engaging in this very interesting discussion. Good night and goodbye.